I never thought a simple application form could catapult me from the dusty dorm rooms of Earth to the glittering spires of the Galactic Academy. My name is Leo, just an ordinary guy from a small town in what used to be called the Midwest, scraping by on scholarships and dreams of exploring the stars. I'd always been fascinated by the cosmos, poring over holovids of distant worlds, imagining what it would be like to walk among aliens who saw humans as little more than curious primitives. But when the notification pinged on my wristcom, announcing I'd won the prestigious Galactic Scholarship, it felt like the universe had personally handed me a golden ticket. The journey to the academy was a blur of hyperspace jumps and orientation briefings. I boarded the shuttle from Earth's orbital station, surrounded by beings from every corner of the galaxy, tentacled scholars from the watery depths of Aquilon, crystalline entities that hummed like living symphonies, and sleek, furred diplomats from the feline confederacies. Me, I was the token human, wide-eyed and clutching my duffel bag like it was a lifeline. The academy itself orbited the heart of the Lunara kingdom, a vast nebula of swirling purples and golds, where ancient alien royals had built their empire on the bones of conquered stars. It was a place of wonders, floating lecture halls that defied gravity, libraries with data crystals holding the knowledge of 1,000 civilizations, and training arenas where warriors honed skills that could shatter planets. On my first day, as I navigated the labyrinthine corridors, my comm buzzed with an incoming message. I glanced down, expecting some automated welcome from the administration. Instead, the sender's ID flashed in bold: Kalia Voss, Champion of Lunara. My heart skipped. Everyone knew Kalia. She was the galaxy's strongest female warrior, a living legend who'd single-handedly repelled the Void Swarm invasion 5 cycles ago. Holovids depicted her as a goddess of battle, tall and lithe, with flowing white hair that cascaded like starlight, pale skin that glowed under the nebula's light, and pointed ears that twitched with elfin grace. She wore armor that was as elegant as it was lethal, form-fitting plates of iridescent alloy that hugged her curvaceous figure, leaving just enough to the imagination to drive admirers wild across the stars. The message was simple. Human newcomer, I've heard about your kinds. Endurance, care to test it in the arena? K. I stared at the screen, my pulse racing. Was this a prank? Some initiation right for the fresh meat? I typed back hesitantly. Thanks, but I'm just here to study xenobiology. Not sure I'd last 5 seconds against you. Her reply came almost instantly. That's what makes it fun. Humans are full of surprises. Meet me at Training Dome Alpha after your first lecture. Don't be late, or I'll come find you myself. I chuckled nervously, shoving the comm into my pocket. The rest of the day passed in a haze of classes, learning about quantum entanglement drives and the mating rituals of gas giant dwellers. But Kalia's words lingered, a mix of thrill and terror bubbling in my chest. Why me? There were hundreds of students here, some with cybernetic enhancements or natural abilities that made them superhuman. I was just Leo, the guy who once fixed a busted hoverbike with duct tape and sheer stubbornness. As the lecture ended, I made my way to the dome, my steps echoing on the polished floors. The arena was massive, a domed space with holographic barriers that could simulate any environment. Kalia was already there, leaning against a pillar, her white hair tied back in a warrior's braid, those pointed ears peeking out like delicate antennas. Her outfit today was less armor and more alluring, a sleek bodysuit that accentuated her athletic build, the fabric shimmering with embedded tech that probably doubled as a force field. She turned as I approached, her violet eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. "You're punctual, good trait for a warrior," she said, her voice a melodic purr with an alien accent that rolled like distant thunder. "I'm not a warrior," I replied, trying to sound casual. "What did you mean by endurance?" She smirked, circling me slowly, her gaze appraising. "Humans, so fragile on the outside, yet your stories speak of unbreakable wills. I fought across the stars, Leo from the ice storms of Velquar to the fire pits of Dravex. But your species, you adapt, you persist, it's intriguing." Before I could respond, she tossed me a training staff, its end humming with energy. "Show me." The sparring session was brutal, but not in the way I'd feared. Kalia moved like liquid lightning, her strikes precise and powerful, but she held back, turning it into a dance rather than a demolition. I dodged and parried as best I could, my earthborn reflexes surprisingly holding up. Sweat poured down my face, but there was something electric in the air, a connection forming in the clash of staffs and shared breaths. when she finally pinned me against the mat. Her body close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from her skin, she whispered, "Not bad for a weakling, but you could be more." That night, back in my quarters, a cozy pod overlooking the nebula, my comm buzzed again. "You lasted longer than I expected. Tomorrow, same time?" "Kay," I smiled, typing back, "only if you promise not to go easy." Her response, "Oh, human, I haven't even started." The messages kept coming. At first, they were challenges, invitations to spar, tips on improving my stance. But soon, they evolved. "Your Earth's legends fascinate me. Tell me about these knights who rescue damsels." Or, more teasingly, "Humans and their stamina, myth or fact? Prove it sometime." I found myself replying late into the night cycles, sharing stories from home, laughing at her misunderstandings of human idioms. Kalia, the untouchable warrior, was opening up. She spoke of her battles, the loneliness of being a legend, how aliens revered her but feared getting too close. "You're different," she texted one evening. "No awe, no distance, just you." It was flattering, intoxicating even, but as weeks blurred into months at the academy, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her interest. Why a goddess like her would fixate on a nobody like me? The Lunara kingdom was a place of intrigue, with political undercurrents swirling beneath the surface. Rumors whispered of unrest, rogue AI factions stirring in the shadows, old rivalries threatening the fragile peace. One afternoon, during a lecture on interstellar diplomacy, my comm vibrated urgently. "Kalia, meet me now. Emergency sim chamber, don't tell anyone." My heart pounded as I slipped out, racing through the corridors. The sim chamber was a high-tech room for virtual training, but when I arrived, Kalia was there in the flesh, her expression grave. "Leo, I need your help, something's wrong." Before she could explain, alarms blared across the academy, red lights flashed, and a synthetic voice announced, "Security breach. Rogue drones inbound, all students to safe zones." Kalia grabbed my arm, her touch firm yet electric. "It's starting, the robot uprising we've feared, but you're the key." "Me? What can I do? I'm no fighter." Her eyes burned with intensity. "Humans think differently, your duct-tape ingenuity. The drones are programmed against Lunaran tactics, but not yours, trust me." As the first wave of metallic horrors burst through the vents, sleek, spider-like machines with glowing red sensors, I realized this was no sim. Kalia leaped into action, her energy blade slicing through the air, carving drones in half with graceful fury. I scrambled for cover, my mind racing. Spotting a control panel, I remembered a hack from an old Earth vid, overloading circuits with a feedback loop. "Kalia, distract them," I shouted, fingers flying over the interface. She whirled, her white hair whipping like a banner, body twisting in midair to evade laser fire. One drone lunged at her, its claws grazing her side, drawing a hiss of pain. But she fought on, a whirlwind of power and poise. I punched in the code, and the room hummed with energy. The drones stuttered, their movements glitching as the loop fried their systems. One by one, they collapsed in sparks. Kalia lowered her blade, breathing heavily, a small wound on her arm. She looked at me with something new in her eyes, admiration, perhaps even desire. "See, that's why I chose you, your mind, it's a weapon." As we caught our breath amid the wreckage, her comm beeped with more alerts. "This is just the beginning," she said softly, stepping closer. "Stay with me, Leo, we face this together." I nodded, the adrenaline mixing with a deeper pull. Whatever storm was brewing in the galaxy, it had drawn us into its heart, and somehow, this human scholar had become the anchor for the strongest warrior in the stars. But as we fled the chamber, evading patrols of malfunctioning security bots, I couldn't help wondering, what secret was Kalia hiding? Why did she believe so fiercely in a fragile human like me? The Academy's halls, once serene, now echoed with distant explosions. Kalia led the way, her hand occasionally brushing mine, sending sparks up my arm. We ducked into a service tunnel, the air thick with the scent of ozone from fried circuits. "The main AI core is corrupted," she explained in hushed tones. "It's rallying the maintenance drones into an army. If we don't stop it, the whole kingdom falls." "Why me?" I pressed, my voice echoing off the metal walls. "There are elite Lunaran hackers, warriors like you." She paused, turning to face me in the dim light. Her violet eyes gleamed, and for a moment, the warrior facade cracked, revealing vulnerability. "Because humans don't follow protocols, you improvise, and because I've watched you, Leo, in the arena, in classes, your passion, your refusal to quit, it's intoxicating. Aliens like me, we're bound by tradition, but you're free." Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Before I could respond, a skittering sound approached, more drones. Kalia pushed me behind her, igniting her blade. The fight was fierce. She dodged and struck, her body a blur of motion, but the numbers were overwhelming. One drone clipped her leg, sending her stumbling. That's when I acted. Grabbing a loose conduit pipe, I swung it like a bat, smashing a drone's sensor array. The feedback caused a chain reaction, exploding several in a cascade of fire. Kalia finished the last one with a precise thrust, then turned to me, chest heaving. "You're full of surprises," she murmured, stepping close. The tunnel's confined space amplified the heat between us. Her gowned figure, now torn and smudged, still radiating that ethereal beauty. In that moment, with danger closing in, something shifted. Her hand cupped my cheek, cool and soft, and she leaned in, her lips brushing mine in a kiss that tasted of stardust and adrenaline. It was brief, but it ignited a fire within me, a promise of more amid the chaos. "We need to move," she said, pulling back with a sly smile. "But later, we'll explore that endurance of yours." As we pressed on, the bond between us deepened, a human and an alien warrior against the galaxy's wrath. Little did I know, the true threat was just awakening, and my role in it was far greater than I imagined. The tunnel opened into a maintenance bay, where sparks flew from damaged consoles. Kalia sealed the door behind us, her pointed ears twitching at every sound. "The core is 2 levels down, but we'll need a plan." I nodded, my mind whirring. Drawing on my xenobiology knowledge, I recalled how Lunaran AI was based on neural networks mimicking organic brains, vulnerable to emotional overrides, something humans excelled at. What if we flood it with contradictory data, like human paradoxes, Schrödinger's cat, that kind of thing? She arched an eyebrow, her white hair falling loose from its braid. "Intriguing, your mind is as alluring as your spirit." As we hacked a terminal, her messages from before flashed in my memory, those teasing texts that had started it all. Now, they felt like foreplay to this grand adventure. We worked side by side, her proximity distracting yet motivating. Her scent, a mix of exotic spices and metal, filled the air. Suddenly, the bay shuddered. A massive enforcer drone burst through the ceiling, its tentacles lashing out. Kalia engaged it head-on, her blade clashing against armored limbs. I typed furiously, uploading a virus laced with human illogic. "This statement is false." The drone faltered, its systems looping in confusion. Kalia delivered the killing blow, severing its core. Panting, she pulled me into an embrace. "You did it again, my hero." In the quiet aftermath, our eyes met, and the tension built. Her hands explored my shoulders, tracing the lines of my human form with curiosity and hunger. "Humans, so warm," she whispered. The kiss this time was deeper, her body pressing against mine, the curve of her hips fitting perfectly. We lost ourselves for a moment, the world fading to just us, warrior and scholar, alien and human, bound by fate's whimsical thread. But the alarms reminded us the battle was far from over. Deeper into the heart of the storm we went, our connection the only light in the darkness. As the echoes of our kiss faded into the hum of the maintenance bay's failing systems, Kalia pulled back just enough to meet my gaze, her violet eyes shimmering with a hunger that mirrored the storm raging around us. Her breath came in soft, rhythmic waves, warm against my skin, and I could feel the subtle tremor in her touch, a reminder that even the galaxy's mightiest warrior wasn't invincible. The alarms blared on, insistent and piercing, but in that suspended instant, they felt distant, like thunder from a far-off nebula. She traced a finger along my jawline, her pointed ear twitching as if catching some unspoken frequency between us. "We can't linger," she whispered, her voice a velvet caress laced with urgency. "The core awaits, but remember this feeling, Leo, it's what will keep us alive." I nodded, my heart pounding not just from the danger but from the electric charge her proximity ignited. We moved onward, slipping through a hatch that led to the lower levels, the air growing thicker with the metallic tang of overheating machinery. The corridors narrowed, forcing us closer together, her shoulder brushing mine, the sway of her hips a subtle distraction amid the chaos. Kalia's bodysuit, torn from the earlier skirmish, clung to her like a second skin, highlighting the graceful curves of her form, the pale glow of her flesh where fabric had given way. I tried to focus on the path ahead, but my mind wandered to those late-night texts, the playful banter that had evolved into something deeper, more primal. The descent was treacherous, with flickering lights casting long shadows that danced like phantoms. Every step heightened the suspense, the unknown lurking in every vent and panel. "The AI has locked down the primary access," Kalia explained, her tone low and conspiratorial as we paused at a junction. "We'll have to take the auxiliary shaft, risky, but it's our only shot." She activated a holographic map on her wrist comm, the blue glow illuminating her features, the high cheekbones, the full lips still slightly swollen from our kiss. As she leaned in to show me the route, her white hair cascaded over her shoulder, brushing my arm. The scent of her exotic, like blooming night flowers on an alien world, filled my senses, stirring a warmth that spread through me despite the chill of the tunnels. I reached out, ostensibly to steady the projection, but my hand lingered on hers, feeling the subtle pulse of her alien physiology, faster than a human's, yet syncing somehow with mine. "You're distracting me," she murmured, a teasing smile playing on her lips, but her eyes held a spark of genuine desire. "In battle, that's dangerous, but with you, it's exhilarating." Before I could reply, a low rumble shook the floor. We froze, her body tensing against mine. From the shadows ahead, a patrol of sentinel drones emerged, smaller than the enforcers but no less deadly, their laser arrays charging with an ominous whine. Kalia shoved me behind a bulkhead, her movements fluid and protective. "Stay low, I'll draw them out." She sprang forward, a vision of lethal grace, her energy blade igniting in a blaze of plasma. The drones swarmed, their mechanical limbs clacking against the grating as they fired bursts of energy. Kalia dodged with supernatural agility, her form twisting in ways that defied human limits, arching back to evade a shot, then countering with a sweep that severed a drone's appendage. Sparks flew, illuminating the sweat glistening on her exposed skin, the way her muscles rippled under the torn fabric. I watched, mesmerized, my own body responding to the raw power she exuded, a mix of awe and an undeniable pull. But suspense coiled tighter when one drone flanked her, its claw grazing her thigh, tearing the suit further and drawing a thin line of iridescent blood. She grunted, spinning to dispatch it, but the injury slowed her just enough for another to close in. That's when I acted on instinct, grabbing a fallen conduit and hurling it like a spear. It struck true, embedding in the drone's core and causing a short-circuit explosion that took out two more. Kalia whirled, her chest rising and falling rapidly, and in the aftermath's hush, she closed the distance between us. "Foolish human," she breathed, but there was no anger, only heat in her voice. She pressed me against the wall, her body flush with mine, the wound on her leg forgotten in the rush. Her hands roamed up my arms, fingers digging in with a possessiveness that sent shivers down my spine. "You risk yourself for me, why?" "Because you're worth it," I managed, my voice husky as I cupped her face, thumb tracing the elegant point of her ear. It quivered under my touch, a sensitive spot I'd only guessed at from our sparring sessions. She gasped softly, her eyes darkening with desire, and leaned in, capturing my lips in a kiss that was fiercer this time, tongues dancing in a rhythm that echoed the pulse of the universe itself. The erotic tension built like a gathering storm. Her hands slid under my shirt, exploring the planes of my chest, marveling at the warmth of human skin. "So different," she whispered against my neck, her breath hot and teasing. "Yet so compatible." I felt her curves mold to me, the firmness of her breasts against my torso, the subtle grind of her hips that hinted at deeper cravings. In the dim light, surrounded by the wreckage of our foes, it was as if the galaxy had conspired to isolate us in this moment of raw intimacy. But even as our bodies intertwined, the suspense lingered, the distant clanks of more drones approaching, a reminder that our reprieve was fleeting. Kalia broke the kiss reluctantly, her lips lingering on mine. "We must hurry. The core is close, but so is the swarm." We pushed on, the air growing hotter as we neared the AI's heart. My mind raced with questions. Why had the uprising targeted the Academy now? And what hidden truth made Kalia believe a mere human could turn the tide? Her glances back at me were charged, promising answers and more in the lulls between battles. The shaft opened into a vast chamber, the AI core pulsing like a malevolent star at its center, surrounded by a phalanx of guardian drones. Kalia's hand squeezed mine, her touch a blend of reassurance and invitation. "Together," she said, her voice laced with that erotic undercurrent, as if every word was a caress. We charged in, the battle erupting in a symphony of chaos. Kalia was magnificent, her blade a streak of light as she cleaved through the first wave, her body moving with a sensual lethality, hips swaying to dodge, arms flexing in powerful arcs. I supported from the flanks, using the environment to my advantage, toppling a console to crush a drone, rerouting power surges to overload others. Each victory brought us closer, our synergy electric, but the Guardians adapted, their attacks growing more coordinated. One massive unit, a colossus of metal and menace, targeted Kalia directly, its tentacles whipping like vengeful serpents. She parried, but the force sent her staggering. her suit ripping further to reveal more of her flawless, pale skin. I intervened, hacking a nearby terminal to deploy a EMP burst, crude but effective. The Colossus shuddered, giving Kalia the opening to plunge her blade into its core. In the brief calm, she turned to me, sweat-slicked and radiant, pulling me into another embrace. Her lips found my earlobe, nibbling gently. "Your ingenuity, it drives me wild." Her hands wandered lower, tracing the line of my waist, igniting a fire that threatened to consume us both. The erotic pull was undeniable, our bodies aching for release amid the adrenaline. Yet the core thrummed louder, its defenses rallying. A new wave approached, and with it, a revelation flickered in Kalia's eyes, something she hadn't shared. As we braced for the onslaught, the suspense thickened, our bond the only certainty in the encroaching darkness. Deeper into the fray we dove, her presence a tantalizing promise. Every brush of skin, a whisper of what could be. The chamber echoed with our labored breaths, the clash of combat blending with the unspoken desires that fueled our fight. The core chamber throbbed like a wounded beast, its crimson glow intensifying as if sensing our intrusion, casting erratic shadows that twisted across the walls like grasping claws. Kalia and I pressed forward, our footsteps sinking in a rhythm born of necessity and that unspoken fire simmering between us. Each clash from earlier battles still echoing in our veins. The air hummed with raw energy, thick and oppressive, carrying the acrid scent of scorched circuits and something deeper, almost alive, as if the AI itself were breathing, plotting its next move. Drones hovered in defensive formations around the pulsating orb at the center, their sensors sweeping in synchronized arcs, red eyes piercing the haze like accusatory stares. Kalia's grip tightened on her blade, her white hair matted with sweat yet still flowing like a banner of defiance, framing those pointed ears that quivered with every subtle vibration in the room. She glanced at me, her violet eyes a storm of determination and that lingering heat from our stolen moments, a silent vow that we would emerge from this not just victorious, but intertwined. "The Guardians are adapting faster than I anticipated," she murmured, her voice a low thrill that cut through the din. "We hit the core directly, your virus idea, my strike, no hesitation." I nodded, adrenaline surging, my human heart pounding in a way that felt both vulnerable and unbreakable. The chamber was a coliseum of machinery, tiers of platforms rising toward the ceiling, crisscrossed with catwalks that groaned under invisible strains. As we advanced, the first Guardian lunged, a hulking sentinel with appendages like scythes, its frame armored in adaptive plating that shimmered, absorbing the light. Kalia met it head-on, her body coiling like a spring before unleashing a whirlwind assault, blades singing through the air in arcs that left trails of plasma. The impact reverberated, metal screeching against energy, sparks erupting like fireworks in the dimness. But this was no ordinary foe. It countered with a burst of kinetic force, slamming her back against a console. She rolled away just in time, grace unbroken, but the hit jarred her, a fresh tear in her bodysuit exposing the curve of her shoulder, pale skin marked by a faint bruise. I dove for cover behind a fallen drone husk, my fingers flying over a portable interface I'd scavenged earlier, uploading fragments of that paradoxical code, human logic twisted into a digital poison. "Come on," I whispered to myself, curiosity burning alongside the fear. What would happen when Earth's philosophical quirks met an alien superintelligence? The code began to weave in, but the core pulsed in response. A deep, ominous thrum that shook the floor. Thrilling chaos erupted as more Guardians activated, descending from the upper tiers like avenging angels of steel. One targeted me directly, its lasers carving furrows in the grating as I scrambled up a ladder, heart in my throat. Kalia was there in an instant, leaping across the void with elfin agility, her form a blur of motion and power. She intercepted the drone midair, twisting to drive her blade through its chassis, the explosion bathing us in heat. We landed together on a precarious platform, her body shielding mine, breaths mingling in the close quarters. "You draw them out," she said, her lips brushing my ear in a way that sent a shiver down my spine, mixing danger with desire. "I'll end them." The battle intensified, dramatic swells of action punctuated by heart-stopping lulls. I maneuvered through the shadows, hacking auxiliary systems to create diversions, overloading lights to blind sensors, venting coolant to slow their movements. Each success built the thrill, but curiosity gnawed. Why did the AI seem personal in its attacks? It wasn't just defending, it was hunting, as if it knew us. A surprising revelation flickered in my mind as I glimpsed a data stream on a cracked screen, fragments of Lunaran history, whispers of an ancient experiment gone wrong. where the AI had been infused with echoes of royal consciousness. Was this uprising a rebellion or a resurrection? Kalia fought like a tempest, her every strike a masterpiece of fury and finesse. She dismantled a cluster of drones with sweeping combos, her hips swaying in lethal rhythm, white hair whipping as she spun. But the core fought back, deploying a new horror, a swarm of microbots that coalesced into shifting forms, adapting to her patterns. One latched onto her arm, burrowing tendrils that made her cry out, a sound that pierced me deeper than any blade. I rushed forward, improvising with a jury-rigged EMP from scavenged parts, the device humming in my hands like a ticking bomb. "Hold on," I shouted, thrusting it into the swarm's heart. The blast rippled outward, a thrilling cascade of disruptions that scattered the micros and stunned the guardians. Kalia shook free, her eyes meeting mine with a mix of gratitude and something fiercer, raw admiration that bordered on obsession. But the climax loomed. The core, sensing defeat, unleashed its final defense, a massive energy barrier that crackled to life, encircling us in a dome of searing light. Trapped within, the air ionized, making every breath a struggle, the heat building like a furnace. Dramatic tension peaked as the barrier contracted, forcing us back to back, our bodies pressed together in a desperate alliance. "Leo," Kalia gasped, her voice laced with urgency and an undercurrent of vulnerability I'd never heard. "The code, push it now. It's our only chance." I interfaced directly with an exposed node, fingers trembling as I injected the full virus, a barrage of human enigmas, from Zeno's paradoxes to quantum uncertainties, designed to loop the AI into infinite recursion. The core shuddered, its glow flickering erratically, but it countered with a psychic assault, holographic illusions manifesting our deepest fears. For me, it was isolation, the vast emptiness of space swallowing everything I held dear. For Kalia, something more intimate, visions of past battles, lost comrades, and a surprising glimpse of me fading away. Thrilling defiance surged as we fought through the mirages, her hand finding mine amid the chaos, grounding us. "This isn't real," she urged, her touch electric, pulling me back, the illusions intensified. Curious whispers from the AI probing our minds. Why resist? Join the perfection. But human stubbornness prevailed. I amplified the code with a personal twist, embedding memories of Earth's resilience, tales of underdogs triumphing against odds. Suddenly, a surprising crack appeared in the barrier, the core's defenses crumbling under the weight of a logical bombardment. Drones fell inert, one by one, the chamber filling with the whine of failing systems. Kalia seized the moment, charging forward with a warrior's roar, her blade plunging into the core's outer shell. Energy arced wildly, the room quaking as if the academy itself were tearing apart. I joined her, overriding the final safeguards, our efforts sinking in perfect harmony. The climax hit like a supernova, the core imploded in a burst of light and sound, waves of data cascading outward in harmless digital confetti. We were thrown back, landing in a tangle of limbs, the barrier dissolving around us. Silence descended, broken only by our ragged breaths, the thrill of survival mingling with the curious afterglow of what we'd uncovered. Kalia rolled atop me, her pale skin flushed, violet eyes wide with surprise. You broke it, a human shattering a god machine." But as the dust settled, a holographic remnant flickered to life, a final message from the AI, its voice distorted yet eerily familiar. "The true threat awakens, the kingdom's secret, in your blood." Curiosity burned brighter than ever. What did it mean? Kalia's expression shifted, a shadow crossing her features, hinting at secrets yet untold. The victory felt hollow, thrilling in its immediacy but laced with surprising dread. We rose together, the chamber's ruins a testament to our bond, but the galaxy's shadows loomed larger, pulling us toward an uncertain horizon. Exhaustion tugged at us, yet the dramatic weight of the moment lingered. Our hands entwined as we navigated the debris. Thrilling echoes of the battle replayed in my mind, each surprise building toward questions that demanded answers. What hidden truth tied me to this uprising? And how deep did Kalia's knowledge run? The Academy's alarms shifted from warning to all clear, but in our hearts, the storm was just beginning. Curious threads unraveling into a web of intrigue that would test everything we were becoming. The air in the shattered core chamber hung heavy with the scent of charred circuits and fading adrenaline. The ghostly afterglow of the AI's final message, still flickering in my mind like a half-remembered dream. Kalia's hand remained clasped in mine, her grip a lifeline amid the wreckage, her violet eyes searching my face for something, answers, perhaps, or reassurance that we'd survived the impossible. The Academy's alarms had softened to a distant hum, signaling safety, but the cryptic warning, the true threat awakens. The kingdom's secret, in your blood, clung to me like a shadow, amplifying the drama of our victory into something far more unsettling. What secret, and why did Kalia's expression, usually so fierce and unyielding, falter with a flicker of unease? She tugged me gently toward an exit hatch, her torn bodysuit catching the dim light, revealing glimpses of her pale, flawless skin beneath. The sight stirred that familiar heat in my chest, but now it was tangled with questions I couldn't voice. "We need to report this to the council," she said, her voice steady but quieter than usual, as if she were holding something back. Her pointed ears twitched, catching the faint clatter of debris settling behind us, and she moved with a warrior's grace, guiding us through a maze of collapsed conduits and sparking panels. The drama intensified as we emerged into a service corridor, only to find it swarming with Lunaran security, sleek, armored figures with glowing visors, their weapons trained on us. "Halt, human!" barked a commander, his voice amplified through a translator that gave it a robotic edge. "You're under suspicion for unauthorized system access. Step away from Champion Voss." I froze, my stomach lurching. Suspicion? After we just saved the Academy? Kalia stepped in front of me, her posture radiating defiance, white hair cascading like a defiant banner. "Stand down, Commander Trell. This human is with me. He stopped the uprising, something your squads failed to do." The commander's visor flickered, as if processing her words, but his tone didn't soften. "The council demands an inquiry. The AI's collapse was irregular, and the human's involvement raises questions." I couldn't help but laugh, a nervous, awkward sound that echoed in the tense silence. "Irregular? I'm just a scholarship kid who got dragged into this. You think I plan to fight a rogue AI with a pipe and some bad philosophy?" Kalia shot me a sidelong glance, her lips twitching with suppressed amusement despite the gravity of the moment. "He's not wrong," she said, her voice carrying a hint of that teasing lilt from our late-night texts. "Leo's ingenuity is unconventional, but it worked." The commander hesitated, clearly torn between protocol and Kalia's authority. The standoff was interrupted by a sudden lurch of the corridor, a tremor that sent us stumbling. I caught Kalia's arm, steadying her, and for a fleeting second, our bodies pressed close, her warmth a stark contrast to the cold metal floor. Her eyes locked on mine, a spark of that earlier heat flaring, but the moment shattered as a maintenance bot, clearly malfunctioning, scuttled out from a vent, its limbs flailing like a drunk spider. "Oh, come on," I groaned, the absurdity breaking the tension. "Didn't we just kill the big bad AI? What's this, the encore?" Kalia's laugh was low and musical, a sound that somehow lightened the drama pressing down on us. She dispatched the bot with a single, graceful swing of her blade, its pieces clattering to the ground. "Apparently, the Academy systems are throwing a tantrum," she quipped, brushing a strand of white hair from her face. "Stay sharp, Leo, we're not out of this yet." The guards escorted us to a holding chamber, a sterile, circular room with transparent walls overlooking the nebula's swirling colors. The drama heightened as we were left alone, the council's inquiry looming like a guillotine. Kalia paced, her movements fluid but restless, her torn suit revealing more of her toned physique with every step. I tried not to stare, but the awkwardness of our situation, heroes turned suspects, mixed with the undeniable pull between us, creating a tension that was both thrilling and mortifying. "So," I ventured, leaning against the wall, aiming for casual but landing somewhere near nervous teenager. "Is this a bad time to ask why the AI mentioned my blood, or why you've been texting me nonstop since I got here?" She stopped pacing, her violet eyes narrowing, but a playful smirk curved her lips. "You're bold, human, most would cower after hearing that cryptic nonsense. But you—" She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a husky whisper. "You keep pushing, like you know exactly how to unravel me." My face heated, and I fumbled for a response, the drama of our predicament momentarily overshadowed by this awkward dance of flirtation. "I mean, I'm just trying to keep up. You're the one who keeps challenging me to duels and whatever that was in the tunnel." Her smirk widened, and she leaned in, her breath grazing my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. "Whatever that was, don't play coy, Leo," you kissed back. She pulled back slightly, her gaze teasing but intense. "As for your blood, I have theories, but we'll get to that after we survive this inquiry." Before I could press further, the chamber's doors slid open, and a Lunaran counselor entered, a towering figure draped in robes that shimmered like liquid starlight. His presence was imposing, his eyes scanning us like we were specimens under a microscope. Champion Voss, human Leo. The Council has questions about the AI's collapse and the anomalies detected in your genetic signature. Human. My jaw dropped, the humor of the moment evaporating under the weight of this new revelation. My genetic what? I glanced at Kalia, expecting her to be as shocked, but her expression was guarded, her lips pressed tight, the drama surged, a knot tightening in my chest. Did she know something about me that I didn't? The counselor activated a holo display, projecting a swirling helix of DNA, mine, presumably interlaced with strange, glowing markers that pulsed in alien patterns. Your arrival at the Academy triggered dormant protocols in the AI, he said, his voice cold and precise. It claimed you carry a key, a genetic legacy tied to the Lunara Kingdom's ancient founders. Explain. I laughed again, this time more out of disbelief than amusement. Explain. I'm from Earth. My biggest legacy is my grandpa's old fishing rod. You're telling me I'm some cosmic chosen one. Kalia's hand brushed mine, a subtle gesture of support, but her silence spoke volumes. The counselor's gaze shifted to her. Champion Voss, your association with this human is noted, your loyalty to Lunara is unquestioned, but your judgment in this matter is under scrutiny. The accusation stung, and Kalia's ears flicked, a rare sign of irritation. My judgment saved this academy, she snapped, stepping forward, her body radiating defiance. Leo's actions, his human chaos, did what your protocols couldn't. If there's a secret in his blood, I'll stand by him to uncover it. Her words hit me like a shockwave, the drama of her loyalty clashing with the awkwardness of being the center of this galactic mystery. I wanted to hug her, question her, maybe kiss her again, but the counselor's next words froze us both. Then you'll both face the tribunal. The true threat the AI referenced is stirring beyond the nebula. And you, human, may be its catalyst. As guards moved to escort us, a panel in the wall sparked, and another rogue bot, smaller, but with a nasty-looking stun prod, lurched toward us. Kalia sighed, almost comically exasperated, and dispatched it with a flick of her wrist, the blade slicing clean through. These things are starting to feel personal, she muttered, tossing me a grin that softened the tension. We were led toward the tribunal chambers, the weight of the council's accusations hanging over us. The drama of our situation now laced with absurd, almost humorous mishaps like the universe couldn't decide whether to crush us or prank us. Kalia's presence beside me was a steadying force, her occasional glances promising more than just survival. But the questions burned hotter. What was in my blood? And why did Kalia seem to know more than she was letting on? The corridor stretched endlessly, each step pulling us deeper into a web of intrigue, the stakes rising with every awkward, thrilling moment. The tribunal chambers loomed ahead, their massive doors etched with glyphs that pulsed faintly, as if whispering secrets of the Lunara Kingdom's ancient past. The weight of the Council's accusations, my blood, a supposed key to a galactic threat, pressed down like a gravity well, but Kalia's presence beside me was a tether, her hand brushing mine with a warmth that sparked defiance against the looming judgment. The rogue bot's sparking remains still smoked behind us, a reminder of the chaos we'd barely outrun, and her sly grin lingered in my mind, a flicker of humor amid the storm. As the guards marched us forward, their visors glinting with cold scrutiny, I caught Kalia's violet eyes, and the unspoken promise in them stirred something deep, a mix of trust, longing, and a heat that refused to be doused. Even now, the corridor opened into a holding suite, a sleek chamber designed to detain high-profile suspects in luxurious confinement. The transparent walls offered a breathtaking view of the nebula's swirling purples and golds, but the opulence felt like a gilded cage. The guards sealed the doors with a hiss, leaving us alone, their parting words a curt warning. The tribunal convenes at dawn. Do not attempt to leave. The silence that followed was thick, charged with the aftershocks of battle and the unresolved tension between us. Kalia turned to me, her white hair loose now, framing her face like a halo, her torn bodysuit clinging to her curves in a way that made my pulse quicken. Some heroes welcome, I said, trying to lighten the mood, but my voice betrayed the nervous energy buzzing through me. From saving the Academy to being galactic suspects in one day, my scholarship didn't mention this in the fine print. Kalia's laugh was soft, almost conspiratorial, as she stepped closer, her pointed ears twitching slightly. You're handling it better than most, Leo. Most aliens would crumble under this pressure. But you? Her fingers grazed my arm, sending a shiver through me. You keep surprising me. That's dangerous and intoxicating. The air between us crackled, the drama of our situation giving way to a more primal pull. The nebula's glow bathed the room in soft light, casting shadows that danced across her pale skin, highlighting the elegant lines of her collarbone and the subtle swell of her chest where the suit had torn further. I swallowed hard, aware of every inch of space, or lack thereof, between us. "You're the one who's dangerous," I murmured, my voice low. "Texting me, kissing me, dragging me into battles. What's your game, Kalia?" Her lips curved into a teasing smile, but her eyes held a deeper intensity, a hunger that mirrored my own. "No game," she whispered, closing the distance until her body was a breath away. Her scent, a mix of exotic spices and the faint metallic tang of battle, filling my senses. "Just truth, you're different, Leo, human, unpredictable, and I can't stop wanting to know more." Her words ignited a fire, and before I could overthink it, I reached for her, my hands finding her waist, the fabric of her suit smooth yet warm under my fingers. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned in, her lips capturing mine in a kiss that was slow at first, exploratory, tasting of adrenaline and starlight. The kiss deepened, her tongue brushing against mine with a boldness that sent heat pooling low in my body. Her hands roamed, slipping under my shirt to trace the contours of my chest, her touch curious yet deliberate, as if memorizing every human detail. "You're so warm," she breathed against my lips, her voice a soft purr that vibrated through me. She pressed herself closer, her curves molding to my frame, the firmness of her body a contrast to the softness of her lips. The torn edges of her suit grazed my skin, and I couldn't help but slide my hands along her hips, feeling the strength and grace beneath. Her pointed ears quivered as my fingers brushed near them, a sensitive spot that drew a quiet gasp from her, her eyes fluttering half-closed. The moment stretched, intimate and charged, our breaths mingling in the quiet of the suite. I pulled back slightly, my forehead resting against hers, trying to ground myself in the whirlwind of sensation. "Kalia," I said, my voice husky, "we're in a holding cell about to face a tribunal. Is this the best time?" Her laugh was low, almost wicked, as she nipped at my lower lip, sending a jolt through me. "Best time? No, perfect time? Yes." Her hands slid lower, teasing the edge of my waistband, her touch bold yet careful, respecting boundaries while pushing just enough to keep the heat alive. "We're alive, Leo, against all odds. Let's celebrate that." I couldn't argue with that logic, not when her body was pressed so close, her thighs brushing mine, the nebula's light painting her in hues that made her look otherworldly yet achingly real. My hands explored higher, tracing the curve of her spine, careful of the faint bruises from battle but drawn to the way she arched into my touch. She guided me to a cushioned bench along the wall, pulling me down beside her, her movements fluid and inviting. The bench was narrow, forcing us even closer, her legs tangling with mine as she straddled my lap, her white hair falling around us like a curtain. Every touch was electric, a dance of discovery between human and alien. Her fingers found the pulse at my neck, lingering as if fascinated by its rhythm, while I traced the delicate points of her ears, earning a soft moan that sent my heart racing. "Humans," she murmured, her lips grazing my jaw, "so fragile, yet so responsive." Her words were a tease, but her tone was reverent, as if she were unraveling a mystery she'd longed to solve. We moved together, the intimacy building in slow, deliberate waves, always mindful of the invisible line that kept us within the bounds of tasteful passion. Her bodysuit slipped further, revealing more of her toned abdomen, and I kissed the exposed skin, savoring the warmth and the faint pulse of her alien physiology. She reciprocated, her lips exploring my collarbone, her hands tugging my shirt aside to press against my bare skin, each touch a silent question and answer between us. The nebula outside seemed to pulse in time with our rhythm, its colors swirling faster as if mirroring the intensity in the room. Yet even in this haze of desire, the weight of our situation lingered, the tribunal, the AI's cryptic warning, the mystery of my blood. Kalia sensed my hesitation, pulling back to meet my eyes, her expression softening. "You're thinking too much," she said, her voice a gentle tease, but there was a flicker of concern there too. "Whatever comes tomorrow, we face it together. For now, just be here." I nodded, pulling her close again, letting the moment reclaim us. Our kisses grew hungrier, hands exploring with a mutual urgency that spoke of survival and connection. The suite's walls seemed to fade, the galaxy shrinking to just us, two souls, human and alien, finding solace in each other's warmth. Her body pressed against mine, curves fitting perfectly, and I felt the strength in her, the vulnerability too, as she let me see a side of the warrior no one else knew. But the moment couldn't last forever. A faint chime from the chamber's comm system broke through, a reminder of the tribunal's impending judgment. Kalia sighed, resting her forehead against mine, her breath ragged but satisfied. "They always interrupt at the worst times," she muttered, a playful edge to her voice as she slid off my lap, adjusting her suit with a grace that made my heart ache. We stood, still close, her hand lingering in mine as we faced the transparent wall, the nebula's beauty a stark contrast to the uncertainty ahead. The intimacy we'd shared had forged something unbreakable, but the drama of our predicament was far from resolved. What was the secret in my blood? And how did Kalia fit into it? Her loyalty to me now a beacon in the gathering storm? As the chime sounded again, signaling the guard's return, we braced ourselves, the heat of our connection a quiet strength against the trials to come. The galaxy was watching, and we were ready together. The chime echoed once more, a persistent reminder that our stolen sanctuary was crumbling, pulling us back into the galaxy's unforgiving grasp. Kalia straightened her suit with a fluid motion, her fingers lingering for a heartbeat on my arm, a silent assurance that what we'd shared wasn't fleeting, it was the foundation we'd build upon. No matter what lay ahead, the doors slid open with a hydraulic whisper, and the guards re-entered, their armored forms casting long shadows across the nebula-lit floor. "Time for the tribunal," one intoned, gesturing with a gauntleted hand. We exchanged a glance, her violet eyes steady and fierce, mine reflecting the swirl of emotions from our intimate interlude, and stepped out together, our shoulders brushing in quiet solidarity as we were led down the corridor. The path to the tribunal hall wound through the Academy's grander wings, past towering archways adorned with holographic murals of Lunara's storied history, battles won, stars claimed, all rendered in shimmering detail that seemed to watch us pass. The drama of our predicament felt amplified here, every footfall echoing like a judgment, the air humming with the low buzz of security fields. Kalia walked with her usual warrior's poise, her white hair swaying gently, but I caught the subtle tension in her jaw, the way her pointed ears flicked at unseen sounds. "Stay close," she murmured under her breath, her voice a thread of warmth amid the chill. "The Council plays games of power, we'll play smarter." I nodded, my mind racing with the mysteries we'd uncovered, the AI's dying words, the genetic anomalies in my blood. What could a simple Earth guy like me possibly hold that threatened an entire kingdom? The guards remained silent, their visors opaque, but the awkwardness of our earlier intimacy lingered in my thoughts, a secret glow that made the sterile march feel almost intimate, like we were conspirators in a grand scheme. The tribunal hall was a cavernous dome, its ceiling a transparent vista of the nebula, stars wheeling overhead like silent witnesses. At the center stood a raised dais where the counselors sat in a semicircle, their robes flowing like liquid night, faces a mosaic of alien features, elongated brows, luminescent markings, all exuding an aura of ancient authority. We were positioned before them on a glowing platform, force fields humming faintly around us, not quite restraints but a clear reminder of our status. The head counselor, an elder named Vorath with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that gleamed like distant quasars, leaned forward. "Champion Kalia Voss and the human Leo, you stand accused of precipitating the AI uprising through unauthorized actions. But more gravely, the anomalies in the human's biology suggest a deeper conspiracy. Speak your defense." Kalia lifted her chin, her voice ringing clear and unyielding. "There is no conspiracy, Vorath. The AI corrupted itself, rallying drones against the Academy. Leo and I halted it, his ingenuity, my blade. If his blood holds secrets, it's a gift, not a threat. Test it if you must, but know this, without him, we'd all be scrap under machine rule." Vorath's gaze shifted to me, piercing and analytical. "Human, your arrival coincided with the disturbance. Scans from the core remnant indicate your DNA resonates with Lunaran frequencies impossible for a primitive species. Explain." I swallowed, the weight of their stares pressing down, but Kalia's presence bolstered me. "I can't explain what I don't know. I'm just a scholar from Earth, here on a scholarship. If my blood's special, it's news to me. Maybe it's why the AI targeted us, saw me as a vulnerability." Murmurs rippled through the council, and Vorath signaled a technician. A holographic scanner materialized around me, beams of light weaving over my form like ethereal threads, probing deeper than any Earth tech could dream. The process was painless but invasive, a tingling that spread through my veins, awakening something dormant. Data streams cascaded across displays, helical structures twisting, markers pulsing in rhythmic patterns that matched Lunaran glyphs. The room tensed, the drama thickening like a gathering storm, every eye fixed on the revelations unfolding. "Intriguing," Vorath mused, his voice laced with calculated calm. The markers align with the founder's lineage, the ancient progenitors who seeded the kingdom eons ago. But how? Humans are isolated, unevolved. Kalia's hand found mine behind our backs, a subtle squeeze, her touch grounding me as the scans delved further. The hologram zoomed in, highlighting a cluster of genes that shimmered with an otherworldly energy. These sequences, the technician announced, carry a dormant activation code. Exposure to the AI's core, awaken them. Vorath's eyes narrowed. Awakened what, precisely? The technician hesitated, then continued. A fail-safe protocol. The human isn't just compatible, he's a carrier of the origin strain. The founders weren't Lunaran natives, they were human. The words hung in the air, a bombshell that shattered the chamber's composure. Gasps echoed from the counselors, their composed facades cracking like fragile crystal. I stared, my mind reeling, the twist hitting like a hyperspace jump, surprising, disorienting, impossible. What? I blurted, my voice cutting through the murmurs. That can't be right. Humans on Earth, we're from apes, evolution, the whole deal. Not some ancient spacefarers. Kalia's grip tightened, her violet eyes widening in what looked like genuine shock, but there was a flicker there, recognition. The legends, she breathed, turning to me. Whispers of the first wanderers, who traversed the stars before the kingdom rose, they vanished, leaving only echoes in our blood. But if you're their descendant, Vorath rose, his robes swirling dramatically. This changes everything. If humans are the progenitors, then the kingdom's foundation is a lie, our superiority. Our conquests, built on borrowed heritage. The AI detected this, tried to erase the evidence to preserve the status quo. The surprise deepened, layers peeling back like an onion of cosmic deceit. The hologram evolved, projecting ancient star maps, vessels departing a blue-green world Earth, unmistakably scattering seeds across the galaxy. The founders engineered variants, the technician explained, voice trembling. Lunaran traits, pointed ears, enhanced strength adaptations for new worlds, but the pure strain remained on the origin planet. Hidden, protected by amnesia protocols to avoid detection by rivals. My head spun, the powerful twist reshaping everything I'd known. Me, Leo, a small-town earthling, carrying the genetic blueprint of galactic creators. It explained the AI's obsession, Kalia's inexplicable draw to me, perhaps an instinctive recognition, her alien form echoing my ancestors' designs. So I'm, what? A walking relic? I asked, half laughing in disbelief, the humor from earlier mishaps feeling distant now. Not a relic, Kalia said softly, her hand still in mine, but her tone carried a new reverence. A bridge. The awakening could unlock lost technologies, defenses against the true threat the AI warned of, something beyond our borders, stirring because of this. Vorath's expression darkened, the drama escalating as alarms suddenly blared, not the Academy's, but a kingdom-wide alert. Holograms flickered to life around the hall, showing sensor readings from the nebula's edge, massive signatures approaching, vessels of unknown design, cloaked in shadows that defied scans. The Void Remnant, Vorath hissed. Ancient enemies of the founders, dormant until now, your activation, human, has summoned them. The surprise twisted further. A knife's edge of revelation. My blood hadn't just exposed a secret, it had ignited a war. The counselors scrambled, orders flying as defenses mobilized. Kalia pulled me close amid the chaos, her body a shield, her whisper urgent. Leo, this is bigger than us, but together, we can face it. Guards rushed in, not to detain but to protect, ushering us toward command centers as the nebula outside churned with unnatural fury. The twist left me breathless, the galaxy's history rewritten in my veins, humans not primitives but pioneers, forgotten gods returning. Yet questions burned. How much did Kalia know? And what price would this awakening demand? The hall dissolved into organized pandemonium. Our steps hurried, the weight of ancestry pressing down. The true threat wasn't just external, it was the unraveling of lies that had bound the kingdom for millennia. As we moved, Kalia's eyes met mine, promising answers amid the storm, but the surprise lingered, a powerful pivot that redefined everything. Deeper into the fray we plunged, the nebula's glow turning ominous, heralding battles yet to come. My human heart, once ordinary, now pulsed with ancient power, a surprise that could save or doom us all. The nebula's churning colors pulsed through the command center's vast windows, casting an eerie glow over the chaos unfolding within. Alarms wailed, their cadence sharper now, signaling the approach of the Void Remnant's cloaked armada, a threat born from ancient grudges. Awakened by the genetic key in my blood, a revelation that still spun my head like a rogue asteroid. Kalia and I stood shoulder to shoulder amidst a flurry of Lunaran officers, their sleek forms darting between holographic consoles, barking orders in a melodic yet frantic tongue. Her hand, still warm from our earlier moments, brushed mine as we were ushered toward a tactical holo table, her violet eyes flashing with a mix of determination and something softer, something that reminded me of the heat we'd shared in the holding suite. The weight of being a human descendant of the kingdom's founders pressed down, but her presence anchored me, even as the drama of an impending galactic war loomed. "Stay sharp, Leo," Kalia murmured, her voice low but laced with that familiar teasing edge, her pointed ears twitching as she scanned the readouts. "You're not just a scholar anymore, you're the spark that's lit this fire." I managed a shaky grin, the absurdity of my situation bubbling up despite the stakes. "Great, from fixing hoverbikes with duct tape to starting a cosmic war, my resume's gonna be legendary." Her laugh, brief but musical, cut through the tension, drawing a few curious glances from the officers. One, a wiry Lunaran with glowing markings, shot me a look that was half suspicion, half awe, as if I were some relic come to life. The awkwardness of being the center of attention human, yet somehow the key to their ancient lineage made my skin prickle, but Kalia's steady gaze kept me grounded. She leaned closer, her torn bodysuit shifting to reveal a glimpse of her pale shoulder, and whispered, "Keep that humor, it's your weapon." Before I could respond, Counselor Vorath's imposing figure swept into the room, his robes billowing like a storm cloud. "Champion Voss, human Leo," he intoned, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "The Void Remnant's vanguard is breaching our outer defenses. Their technology counters our own. It's as if they've anticipated every move. Your unique heritage, Leo, may hold the answer to their weakness." The drama surged, the room's frenetic energy spiking as holo displays showed sleek, shadowy ships slicing through the nebula, their forms jagged and predatory. I swallowed hard, the idea that my DNA could unlock ancient defenses sounding like something out of a bad sci-fi vid. "Okay, but how? You're saying I'm supposed to, what, plug my blood into a computer and hope it spits out a superweapon?" Vorath's obsidian eyes narrowed, unamused, but Kalia stifled a chuckle, nudging me with her elbow. "He's got a point, Vorath, unless you've got a manual for how to be a Galactic Founder 101, we're flying blind here." The counselor's expression tightened, but a young technician, barely older than me, with wide, luminescent eyes, piped up, her voice trembling with excitement. "The archives mention a relic, the Codex Arcanum, buried in the Founder's vault. It's tied to the origin strain, Leo's strain. It could contain protocols to counter the remnant." The room paused, all eyes on me, and the awkwardness hit like a rogue wave. "A relic? In a vault? This is starting to sound like an Earth adventure movie," I muttered, rubbing the back of my neck. "Next, you'll tell me I need to solve a riddle or fight a space dragon." Kalia's grin widened, but her hand squeezed mine under the table, a secret reassurance. "If there's a dragon, I'll handle it. You stick to the riddles, scholar." Vorath ignored our banter, his voice cutting through like a blade. "The vault is on the nebula's edge, guarded by automated defenses and other safeguards. You too will retrieve the codex. Failure is not an option. The remnant will not wait." The drama escalated as we were rushed to a hangar, the air thick with the roar of engines and the clatter of arming drones. Kalia led me to a sleek, two-person skiff, its hull shimmering with Lunaran tech, and we strapped in. The cockpit so tight our thighs pressed together, reigniting that spark from the suite. "Ever flown one of these?" she asked, her fingers dancing over the controls, her torn suit shifting distractingly as she moved. "Nope," I said, trying to focus on the glowing dashboard and not her proximity. "Closest I've come is a hoverbike that broke down every other day. You sure you trust me not to crash this thing?" She smirked, her violet eyes glinting with mischief. "I trust your instincts, Leo. Besides, crashing might make things interesting." Her tone was teasing, but the underlying heat made my pulse race, memories of her lips and hands flooding back. The skiff launched with a lurch, diving into the nebula's swirling depths, the stars blurring past like streaks of fire. The drama of our mission, retrieve a mythical relic to save a kingdom, was undercut by the awkward hilarity of my inexperience, my hands fumbling on the co-pilot controls as Kalia guided us through turbulent clouds. "Left, Leo, not right." She laughed, grabbing my wrist to correct a wild maneuver that nearly sent us spinning. "For a supposed founder, you're a terrible pilot." "Hey, I'm a scholar, not a space jockey." I shot back, grinning despite the sweat beading on my forehead. The banter kept the tension at bay, but the nebula's edge loomed, a dark frontier where sensors flickered with interference. The vault's coordinates appeared on the holo screen, a pulsing beacon surrounded by warnings, hostile environment, unidentified anomalies. As we approached, the skiff sensors screamed, and a swarm of Void Remnant probes, sleek, insect-like drones, materialized from the mist, their weapons charging with a sinister hum. Kalia's demeanor shifted to pure warrior, her hands flying over the controls as she weaved through their fire. "Hold on," she shouted, banking hard, her body pressing against mine in the tight cockpit, the contact sending a jolt through me despite the danger. I manned the skiff's pulse cannons, my Earth-born reflexes surprising me as I scored hits, explosions lighting up the nebula like fireworks. But one probe grazed our hull, rocking us, and a panel sparked, spraying smoke. "This is why I stick to books," I yelled, coughing, as Kalia laughed, her focus unbroken. We reached the vault, a massive, ancient structure floating like a derelict moon, its surface etched with the same glyphs from the tribunal hall. But as we docked, the awkwardness returned with a vengeance. The airlock required a biometric scan, and it wasn't Kalia's hand it wanted. "It's key to the origin strain," she said, guiding my palm to the scanner. The panel flared, recognizing my touch, and the doors groaned open, revealing a cavernous interior pulsing with faint, golden light. Inside, the drama deepened. The vault was a labyrinth of crystal spires and floating platforms, each step echoing with the weight of forgotten history. Kalia stayed close, her blade drawn, her eyes scanning for threats. "This place feels alive," she whispered, her voice tinged with awe. "Like it's been waiting for you." A low hum answered, and from the shadows, a guardian drone unlike any we'd faced, its form humanoid yet twisted, glowing with the same markers as my DNA, lurched forward. "Intruder," it droned, its voice eerily like mine. The strain must not awaken. Kalia reacted instantly, her blade clashing with its energy-laced limbs, sparks flying as she danced around it. I scrambled for a control panel, my hands shaking as I hacked at systems, the awkwardness of my role as chosen one crashing against the reality of my inexperience. "Come on, ancient tech, work with me," I muttered, inputting commands from memory. The drone faltered, but not before grazing Kalia's arm, drawing a hiss of pain. She dispatched it with a final strike, panting, and turned to me, her expression a mix of exasperation and affection. "You're going to get us killed with your fumbling, hero." "Hey, I'm trying," I protested, helping her up, our hands lingering a moment too long, the drama of the fight blending with the awkward, electric pull between us. The Codex lay ahead, a glowing orb atop a pedestal, but as we approached, the vault trembled and a holoprojection flickered to life, a figure, human yet alien, its eyes mirroring mine. "Welcome, heir," it said. "The remnant comes for what we hid. Will you claim it or fall?" The drama surged, the awkwardness of my heritage now a cosmic burden. Kalia's gaze my only anchor as we faced the unknown. The vault's golden light pulsed around us, bathing the crystalline chamber in a warm glow that felt both ancient and alive, as if the very walls were holding their breath. The holoprojection's words, "Welcome, heir. The remnant comes for what we hid. Will you claim it or fall?" hung in the air, heavy with the weight of a destiny I'd never asked for. Kalia stood beside me, her energy blades still humming from the fight, her white hair disheveled but radiant, framing those pointed ears that twitched with every subtle shift in the chamber's hum. Her violet eyes met mine, a silent promise that we'd face this final challenge together, her presence a steady flame against the uncertainty. The Codex Arcanum glowed atop its pedestal, an orb of swirling energy that seemed to call to me, its light syncing with the strange rhythm I now felt in my veins, the origin strain, the legacy of humanity's forgotten role as the founders of the Lunara kingdom. I took a step forward, my hand hesitating over the codex, the air crackling with potential. "Leo," Kalia said softly, her voice a blend of caution and encouragement, her torn bodysuit clinging to her curves, a reminder of the battles we'd fought and the intimacy we'd shared. "Whatever this unlocks, it's part of you, trust it." I nodded, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and resolve. The drama of the vault's guardian, its eerie resemblance to me, still lingered, but Kalia's faith grounded me. I pressed my palm to the codex, and a surge of warmth flooded through me, like a memory awakening. The orb flared, projecting a cascade of holographic data, blueprints, star charts, and protocols from eons past, detailing humanity's exodus from Earth to seed the galaxy. The founders hadn't just built the kingdom, they'd hidden a failsafe, a weapon to counter the Void Remnant, encoded in their descendants' blood. My blood, The chamber rumbled, and Kalia grabbed my arm, pulling me close as the floor shifted. "It's activating," she said, her breath warm against my cheek. The holoprojection morphed, revealing a map of the nebula's edge, where the Remnant's armada massed, their ships now visible, jagged, obsidian behemoths pulsing with malevolent energy. But the Codex offered more than history. It unlocked a network of ancient satellites, dormant since the Founder's time, designed to emit a frequency that disrupted Remnant tech. "It's a pulse," I realized, my scholar's mind piecing it together, like my virus but on a galactic scale. Kalia's eyes lit up, a spark of pride mingling with that familiar heat. "Then let's use it together." We worked frantically, her fingers dancing over the vault's controls while I interfaced with the Codex, translating its ancient commands into modern systems. The satellites began to hum, their signal building, but the Remnants sensed the shift. The vault shook violently, and holoscreens showed their vanguard breaching the nebula, targeting us. "They're coming," Kalia warned, her blade ready, her body poised like a coiled spring. "We need time." "Then we'll buy it," I said, surprising myself with my own conviction. We sealed the vault's inner sanctum, but a breach in the outer hull let in a swarm of Remnant drones, sleek, insectoid machines with claws that gleamed like black glass. Kalia fought with breathtaking ferocity, her blade carving arcs of light, her movements a dance of lethal grace. I supported her, rerouting power to create force fields, my hands trembling but guided by the Codex's intuitive interface, as if my ancestors were whispering through me. One drone broke through, lunging for me, but Kalia intercepted, her body shielding mine as she drove her blade into its core. Sparks showered us, and she stumbled, a shallow cut on her arm leaking iridescent blood. I caught her, our bodies pressed close, the heat of battle mingling with the warmth of her skin. "You okay?" I asked, my voice tight with worry. She grinned, breathless but undaunted. "Takes more than that to stop me, hero." Her lips brushed my forehead, a fleeting gesture that reignited the fire between us, even as the drones regrouped. The Codex's signal reached critical mass, and I slammed the activation command. A wave of energy rippled outward, visible through the vault's transparent dome as a shimmering pulse that tore through the nebula. The Remnant ships faltered, their systems frying under the ancient frequency, their formations collapsing into chaos. Drones in the vault froze, then fell, their lights dimming as the pulse neutralized them. The silence that followed was profound, broken only by our ragged breaths and the distant hum of the Academy's systems stabilizing. We sank to the floor, exhausted but alive, Kalia's head resting on my shoulder, her white hair spilling across my chest. The nebula outside calmed, its colors softening to a serene glow, as if the galaxy itself exhaled in relief. "We did it," I murmured, my hand finding hers, fingers intertwining. "You did it," she corrected, her voice soft but fierce. "Your blood, your mind, humanity's legacy. I knew you were special, Leo." I chuckled, the weight lifting, replaced by a warmth that felt like home. "Special? I'm just a guy who got lucky with a scholarship and a warrior who won't stop texting me." Her laugh was bright, echoing in the vault's stillness, and she tilted her head to kiss me, slow and deep, a promise fulfilled. The Codex dimmed, its purpose complete, but its data lingered in my mind, a map to rebuild, to bridge humanity and the kingdom. The Council would have questions, apologies perhaps, but for now, the galaxy was safe. We emerged from the vault to a transformed academy, students and faculty gathered, their faces a mix of awe and gratitude. Vorath approached, his stern demeanor softened. "The Remnant is in retreat. The kingdom owes you both a debt. Leo, your heritage, it will redefine us." I glanced at Kalia, her violet eyes gleaming with pride. "We'll redefine it together," I said, squeezing her hand. The crowd parted, and we walked through, no longer scholar and warrior, but partners in every sense, bound by battles fought and moments shared. As we stepped into the Academy's light, the nebula above us sparkled, a canvas of possibilities. The future was uncertain, new threats might rise, secrets might unfold, but with Kalia by my side, I felt ready. Humanity's legacy wasn't just in my blood, it was in our courage, our connection, our refusal to give up. And maybe, just maybe, in the love we'd found across the stars. The story didn't end there, it never truly does. But as we faced the dawn, hand in hand, I knew we'd write the next chapter together. A tale of heroes, lovers, and a galaxy forever changed.